Hi guys, this is Yosef Martin with Clary, and now today we're going to be talking about scaling a business to a couple hundred millions. In my case, it was 500 million, and I feel like the biggest point is that there's a major difference between taking a business from 1 to 10 or 1 to 50 million all the way to 500. And there is a reason why it's different and why it's hard.
And why people screw it up.
And why people screw it up, because you eventually have to gross a different mindset, and you have to kind of like start all over again. So when you reach about, say, in my case, about 50 million, we needed to restart the whole business all over again. You had to get uncomfortable again. From, say, 30 employees, we could not understand why we can scale.
By the way, another thing is not just the mindset, it's the people. So there's people that are good for 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to maybe 50 or 10 to 100. That's a different skill set. And then taking a company public or taking it to a $500 million exit.
Whenever you ask yourself, yeah, but what's the difference? I remember when someone told me, look, $50 million business is not, or $20 million, it's not $100 million. And then my partners told me, they've seen sizes of companies, and they said, look, 50 million, at the time I had 50, they said 50 million is not going to be a $500 million business. Your whole organization will have to change. And I didn't really understand. I said, but why? And honestly, until I got to it, I didn't realize why. And the biggest part that I kind of like learned that there is a major difference between 50 to 250. And even looking at investors, there are big brackets of like big private equities that would not invest in any business that doesn't gross less than 250 million. And they don't care if you are 5 billion or 250, that's okay for them, but about a 200 million, 250, that's their... And when asked, but why? And they said, well, because those who figure it out how to get to 250, they can scale forever. But to get to 250, sometimes you can kind of like run with your last steam.
What was the biggest thing? Like, so out of like from 0 to 250? No, I meant, sorry. What was the one point that you had the most difficulty with moving past?
About 50.
What was it at 50? Okay, what happened?
We had 30 employees.
That's good, actually, for 50 million.
Well, yes, it was actually good
very good.
Where we were close to 500, we had about 150. But the problem I had wasn't the number of employees. It was the fact that it wasn't tiered, right? It was me and two other guys, and then it was a bunch of...
28 or 27 other people.
Yeah, so it was very, very flat, and we couldn't really find the next person. We didn't know in what direction. And every time I looked at a more structured organization, they were able to take on a lot more projects and scale. And I'll give you an example, right? Let's just say you want to go and do a partnership with Sephora. Usually there's a team that does that. Now, I had very junior team. I didn't know how to find those industry people. I didn't know how to develop that department to be in the side and who do the report, and you bring a person and they don't know how. So to get to a point that it's a more structured business that I don't have to be involved in every part of the business was the first challenge. And for that, I had to redo the whole business, kind of like everything. So whoever was the COO, which was doing amazing, I told him, look, man, you can't stay the COO because you haven't gone to those heights, neither myself. I need to hire a COO. And someone who've done this. And I had to kiss lots of frogs until I get the princess, which was actually a guy, but we didn't kiss or anything like that. But his name is Eric. And the idea was that I had to get a person that he got into a company at 50, and then he left when they were about 2 billion. So here I have seen that path.
He had the exact path that you needed.
Yes. And that's when you bring that person, and that one person kind of like redo the whole org chart under me and help me take it to where it needs to be.
Let me ask you one more question on this, because this can go on forever, but we'll keep it tight.
But one thing, this is just about the org chart. There's a couple other things that you just have to be there to realize, because every business is different.
Can I ask about the org chart before you go to the other one? Okay, so the one thing is, when you're looking for that person to take it to the next level, is there any wiggle room in finding somebody that would have come in at 25 or 30 or 10 and scaled? Or do you really only want somebody that's walked the exact path?
Well, no one was doing my exact path, because mine was a subscription box.
No, but I mean, the revenue was the right point. You brought someone else in.
No, the idea is that you go into someone that have seen a company changing tremendously, right? From 100, he was doing it from 100 to 200. So you can't really find I wish I could, right? But it doesn't. And sometimes they're not good. The idea is that your business has to be attractive enough for them And then you have to be convincing enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then because he had to leave his job. Those people don't sit down with no job looking for a job.
Which is another good point.
Yeah, no, you have to hit those who have a job already. And you say, well, in my space, no one does exactly what I do. So the only commonality is it's e-com. Okay, let's go to someone that was doing e-com. So we went to someone that was in Chewy, and after the exit, it was easy to hire people from Chewy. But usually this is where you want to go. You want to go to companies that just exit, and you find their top executives or VPs. Sometimes the VP is better than executive because he's more like hands-on and he's seen a lot. And now you can give him a C-level job, which they want to keep it on the resume, and that's going to be much more instrumental. But you can't go to someone that just cash out on millions because they went public and multi-billion-dollar business, and then you're doing, say, $700,000 a year, and you think you can hire it. It's not your time yet. Get it to about 10, 20, 30, 50 million in sales. Then you can position it where you say, look, we grow fast enough and we can bring those people. Now, this is one thing, right? The other part is, if you were going through that, you're probably going to make it. This is probably the most important part. You'll have to redo the org chart. Now, if you go into a point where your business just doesn't grow because your product is not good, that's a different story. But let's just say your business is growing too fast. You don't know how to control it. Things are falling apart because of that. Then you just need to have a person that's going to help you stabilize it. And then hire underneath all the management team, and you don't have to do it. You can focus on building where they can build the org chart underneath you.
Is there any other main things you want to go into?
I feel this is the number one that happened in my case. Overall, it's important for you to understand. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. I'm sure that there are plenty of other companies that can tell you completely different stories because some started structure.
People, I think, is one of the most important.
People is everything. Yeah, it's everything. And then, it's the CEO. It's just, shall I say this? You got to be good with what you do. It's not, it really comes to the head. Like if you're wrong with what you're doing and you're attacking Russia in the winter and you walk through the snow, and you're going to die if your product is not good. As a person, we'll talk about this on our next podcast. It's all about the product. It's all about the product. So if the CEO is not that type of guy, then it doesn't matter who he's going to hire. Right? So they're much more than that, but assuming everything else works, you're growing so fast, but you just can't scale and you don't know how to build this. This is your catalyst, and it's people. Let someone else who've done this before.
All right. Okay. That's it for today. If you enjoyed, please subscribe on YouTube. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can download and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts or on liquidityandliquor.com.